Hi everyone, I'm Suhana and you are listening to the Goodfirms Leaders Roundtable podcast. We interview different tech founders and for today we have Anil Rana. He is the Assistant Vice President at Seasia Group of Companies. Anil has an extensive 19-year career spanning in business analysis, marketing and client outreach. So, over the years, Anil has excelled in humanizing technology through his leadership. Now, that's very interesting. And Anil, I welcome you to our episode today of the Good Firms Leaders Roundtable podcast. Anything that you like to say to our audience, something that I might have missed?
Thanks, Johanna. Thanks for inviting me and allowing me to be a part of this podcast. I think you've covered it quite well. I have an experience of around 20 years in the IT industry. And yes, as you mentioned, I totally believe that humanizing the tech is really important, especially when this artificial intelligence is around the corner and is being used quite extensively. So,
Mhm.
yeah, you introduced me quite well. We can go ahead with the questions, maybe.
Okay. And we will be getting to the part that you just mentioned that, AI is taking over and where does the human side remain or not? But before we can go to that question, you have a pretty long journey, like starting from where you were and now you are the assistant vice president at such a big company. Around 20 years, like you said. So what change have you witnessed in the tech industry? And there has been a wave of different sort of technology. So how did you cope up with that?
Very interesting question. I believe that our generation, like the people who started in this industry around 2 decades ago, have
Mhm.
witnessed it all. We started with developing desktop applications where things used to get installed on a system and then only we can operate. The internet was not that readily available. We in around 2010 or so, Web 2.0 came into picture where it's internet is not just to read something, but you can contribute to it. You can the microblogging sites came into picture. You can put something over internet. You can put comments over something. And as this Web 2.0 was nearly maturing, here came the AI and ML and the blockchain part. Because as in Web 2.0, there were a lot of information put on the internet. The importance of data started coming into picture, and hence its security. And then came the blockchain and the Web 3.0, where everything is decentralized and everyone
Mhm.
has control over his or her own data. So
Mhm.
yes, there have been quite a lot of changes in these past 2 decades, and to cope up with it is the need of the hour. Because if you are in this tech industry, you need to upgrade yourself after every 2 years or 3 years because
Mhm.
everything changes after every couple of years. And
Mhm.
even if you are in a defined technology, let's say if you are a developer, open source developer, the versions change, the new platforms come, the new languages come, new frameworks come. So you need to keep upgrading yourself every couple of years. Otherwise, you will be out of the scene very soon.
And I think along with our audience, even I was really interested in one line which I also used to introduce you to our audience is that you excel in humanizing technology through leadership. So that is what we'll be talking about on our podcast today, which specifically focuses on the human side of technology. So what does that term mean and why is it so important to discuss in today's world where AI is there? Why do we have to do this conversation today?
So when we say humanizing the technology, there are a lot of different aspects to it. So first one is humanizing the tech, referring in a way that how it best can be used for the humans or how can we improve the human experience. And there comes the part which that's quite an old thing, but was coined lately. So you used to talk about user interface, like designing software or how an application should look. But we used to miss the user experience part, like how friendly it is for the user to operate that specific system. So
Mhm.
humanizing the tech started when we gave importance to user experience. So whenever there's an application, it should be solving something for the humanity. And if it's solving something for the humanity, it should be easy for the humans to use it too. That's
Mhm.
one aspect of it. And then if we link it to humanizing the tech, we link it to AI and ML. So when
Mhm.
we talk about humanizing the tech in terms of AI and ML, a lot of results that AI and ML present, like even if you see the generative AI images that float around over Instagram a lot these days, or the responses ChatGPT may give, those are not fully humanized. If you read or see those images in our 90 out of 100 cases, you will be able to see that it's machine written. I'll not say these should be humanized to provide a output that matches as good as written or generated or clicked by a human. Because if there's no difference, that's also something to ponder over, something to see that should we be reaching that state that we're not able to judge whether content is generated by AI ML or is actually human written. So I think that's sort of a topic of debate. There'll be a lot of people who will be thinking that to improve it, to make it look nearly human will be better. But I'll say even if we reach that state, there should be something that forces such content to have at least a watermark or a disclaimer that it's AI generated if it's that humanized. So I know I've not concluded it because I think it's an open question. I'll not like to conclude and be on one side.
Hmm. I really like how you said that the specific point that, if we are not able to distinguish between something that's been written by AI or by human, that is worrisome to a certain point, and I completely agree to that. So scientists or maybe technologists, they are all trying that the new technology is as empathetic as a human can be. So, what role do you see empathy in the development and implementation of new technology, considering that it has positive impacts on the society?
I believe technology came into picture only to serve something or to serve humanity and to provide a solution that may help someone, a human or a bigger community. Empathy is the very first step to see, to judge, to analyze what should be done so that it's useful for humans. But yeah, there are different angles to it. First is to think of a solution of the idea. I think always will be derived from empathy, trying to solve something, trying to solve a problem that someone is facing. And if we are trying to think of a problem that someone is facing, we are empathizing with that specific person. So hence, any idea that you think of to develop comes from empathy. However, it can be empathetic to someone, but the larger impact of it may not be. So, empathy in tech development prompts us to consider the broader society impacts of our innovation. So, if we are creating something, we definitely have to think of the impacts it may have when once it's launched to the bigger world. I believe when we decided to develop it, it was empathetic towards someone or a community. But to see its impact all over the society, we should be empathetic towards the bigger picture too, towards the cases when we have actually launched it. So it's useful for someone, so it should be not harmful for others too.
True, exactly. And as you said, that empathy comes when the technology that is being developed is to solve problem, and that happens with personal experiences, and these type of experiences or background shape how an individual approaches innovation and like problem solving. So what sort of role does these personal experiences shape the way individuals approach innovation and problem solving in the tech field? Can you please explain that with the help of an example?
Yes, so I believe that personal experiences or the background play a very major role in solving a problem because it's just like AI. Even for a AI model, you need to train it with a lot of different kinds of data for it to be able to produce outputs that can be applicable to nearly anyone or a bigger audience. Similarly, for a human mind, the more the exposure I have or anyone has, the more is the possibility that I'll be able to design something or solve a problem, keeping in mind the bigger picture or the bigger community, or saying it this way that that solution will be applicable or good for larger audience. And what I know is derived from either personal background or the experiences I have. That's why for, let's say, take an example of analysis or any creative field, anyone who is new to that field can design something that's as good as someone who is in this industry from past 15 or 20 years. But the experience this guy of 15 or 20 years has plays a big role. He knows he has done a bigger amount of projects and he knows what the reactions are, what kind of things people like. So yes, backgrounds and experiences matter in terms of problem solving. So you also asked for an example. So yes, I'll take the example of we were developing a healthcare app, and it was supposed to be useful for everyone. And people in IT industry, the average age must be around late 30s. 40 should be the max average age. There are a lot of young guys.
Mhm.
So while doing the UX or the requirement analysis, we sort of miss that there can be people, especially if it's healthcare, there'll be a lot of senior citizens or
Mhm.
seniors who are not that tech savvy.
Mhm.
So during our first round of experience design, we missed this fact, and that was a big miss. We did various user interviews, but the people we interviewed were majorly of a lower age group. So we were
Mhm.
missing this factor, and we had someone in our team who is into social work. So that's where that specific guy pointed out that I know I meet these people daily, but not that tech savvy. We know that these are our target audience. So we interviewed a few social senior guys, but those were because as IT industry, we when we tried to approach, we found the people who were a bit tech savvy. So
Mhm.
this guy who used to do a bit of social work uh, raised this point, and that was a very valid point. So we then, as a part of the analysis, we interviewed a few seniors who were not that tech savvy and
Mhm.
updated our UX for them. And then we added this point to our regular checklist that we have for our UX design process.
That's a great example, Anil, and kudos to you that you took a feedback from the team or you shared your idea that we are missing something, and even kudos to that person who came up with his network so that he could put you in touch with such people so that the app that you developed could actually help those people. You didn't have to iterate, and it actually saved a lot of time, right?
Yeah, and that's why I always prefer like having people from different backgrounds, different domains, different kind of upbringing. That adds to the experience and the data we have when we discuss. That always helps.
100%. 19-year career is a really long time, and you've gained experience from every single work that you've done. So, what values or principles you took up along the way that guide you in decision making in your current company?
I personally believe that if people are happy, they'll be able to do good work.
Mhm.
And just to start with, everyone can have different values and principles, but at last, everyone works towards betterment of the company, growing business, and finally profit. So every approach that anyone can have may work, but I believe in employee satisfaction a lot because, as I started with, happy minds can write good code or design good systems. As we mentioned for a question earlier, that it's a very dynamic industry
Hmm.
and people can be happy only if they are content. If I'll keep throwing some employee engagement activities at them, but I'll not give them any growth opportunities because this is a dynamic industry, they need to learn something, they need to be on par with the markets. So then also it will not work. So if they are happy with the other co-curricular activities, but they are not happy technically, that's not
Mhm.
going to work too. So,
Yeah.
employee engagement and something to learn every other quarter because it's a very dynamic industry. So,
Mm.
we believe in certifications and trainings from outside of the company too, but we
Mhm.
also believe in picking a group of me, putting them into research, having them demo a few things to the other people, sit together. I believe in changing seats after a few months because if I talk to new guys, definitely learn something. So a
Mm.
lot of things that all how I manage the business and the what the principles are. So continuous learning, exposure to as much data as possible, and keeping people happy. That are my core principles to make decisions or run business.
That's amazing, Anil. And as we were talking about the human side of tech and how there is an increasing need to navigate this relationship between human and technology and how to take it further. So, what do you believe are the most pressing challenges that we as developers, as a community, need to address into shaping a more human centric approach to technology or innovation, where people are not left out, where people are more included?
One of the biggest problem we have these days around technology is the data privacy.
Hmm.
And we know that data is the new oil. So having
Hmm.
data is as expensive as oil, and having data is like you can always do something around it and produce a system that's useful for people. And
Mm.
as I told you that around 2010 that web 2.0 came into picture, that started capturing data. All the companies that had search engines or anything, they capture everything,
Mm.
and then based on that useful for us. And I just read, I think today or maybe yesterday, that now companies are planning to capture data of what we are thinking.
Oh my
So
God.
using those AI helmets, we can wear them and they can read our thoughts and they'll capture that data and produce results around it. So the biggest problem these days is data privacy. You capture data, that's fine. The use of it should be ethical. So ethical use of AI and data privacy is really important to keep the humanitarian ground in picture while designing anything or while developing technology. As I told you, like keeping the workforce empowered is also a humanitarian thing we should take care of because this is a very dynamic industry, as I already said. So keeping them on par as per your need and as per their career also is another thing that I think should be considered considering humanity in mind.
I think the tech that you just talked about, that it'll be able to capture thoughts and process data around it, is good, but also quite scary because we always keep thinking different sort of things. We don't have just one thing going on in our head.
And a lot of these different things we may not like to express. We think a lot of things, but may not like to speak that. But that
Exactly.
this tech will even pick those stuff.
Exactly. And as these technology is coming up, AI, ML, or AR, VR, what we can see is new companies are rushing towards these technologies. So, what advice do you have for aspiring entrepreneurs or technologists who are passionate about driving positive change through technology and like they want to do something in AI, ML, but they should also be considering the human side of tech? So, what advice would you have for such people?
I agree. Like I'm feeling this on my bit of personal experience. A lot of companies don't even know what they want to do around
Mm,
AIML, but they have kept a separate budget for it. Like, yes, we'll invest this much amount for AIML.
mm,
And that's how it starts. Like these are prospect clients. And then the tech companies who provide these services, even if they nearly don't do anything major in these new upcoming niche technologies, they'll mention that they are experts in it. So this is somehow a rat race the technology companies are into. I'll suggest the entrepreneurs or the technologists too that if you want to jump into AI/ML world, let's do it the best way possible. Let's be technically as sound as you can if you
mm,
say that you are doing it. And then secondly, keeping the humanitarian ground in mind, let's be empathetic even if there's something that comes from a client that you can do technically, but you
mm,
know that's not ethically correct or
mm,
that's not something you do if you will empathize with the target audience. I think we should learn to say no. We should
mm,
not just think about the business. We should be ethically responsible for anything that comes out of our hands.
mm.
So yes, be technically sound and be technically confident and business-wise confident enough to say no to the things you think is not ethically correct.
And these are some very good piece of advice for any new entrepreneur who are listening to us right now. So I just have one last question for you, Anil, and this has been such a fruitful conversation, and I also learned a lot. And Seasia Infotech has been in the business for around 11 years, and your career itself has a journey of around 19 years. And surviving in an ever changing market is not easy, whether a company or an individual. And Asia Infotech has made it till here, is standing strong in 2024 and definitely will go forward. So, can you shed light on how building a strong profile on good firms and having a good brand is important so that you stand up in the market and also thrive in a competitive landscape?
Navigating the ever-changing tech landscape for over a decade, Fusion Infotech has carved out a significant niche thanks in large part to our strategic presence on your platform, Goodfirms. So it's been a game changer for us, amplifying our reach, bolstering our credibility, and deepening trust with clients in a fiercely competitive arena. Because the market at this moment or from past 10 years is very competitive. So Goodfirm gave us a platform to list ourselves and be there in front of our prospect client size. So Goodfirms has not only put us on the map for potential clients worldwide, but also them with glowing real deal testimonials about our work. So
Hmm.
yeah, we can put that, the clients can put some testimonials for us, that that's how we work, but that's very important for a new client to generate trust on us.
Hmm. Hmm.
So this is kind of word of mouth, especially in the digital realm. It's gold. It sets us apart in this crowded field. So yeah, I'll say Bitcom played a major role in having us establish or be available for prospect clients over this dynamic and this ever-changing landscape.
I think the success that you have gained as a company, Seasia Infotech has gained so far, is because all of the efforts that the employees have put in, the directors have put in the company, but also because the company has maintained a good brand across different platforms. Because I'm looking at your Goodfirms profile right now, and it's just loaded with everything what a prospect wants to know, whether that the reviews, what other clients have told about your company, or the different projects that you have done. So a future customer can just come into your Goodfirms profile, look through portfolios that you have, can see different reviews which are outstanding, and can directly make a great choice of working with Seasia Infotech. So thank you so much, Anil, for coming onto our podcast and talking about such an important topic, which is not really talked about. So thank you so much for talking about it.
Thanks, Hannah. Thanks for your time. And it
Thank
was
you.
lovely talking to you.
Yeah, definitely. And I had such an interesting conversation with Anil on the human side of the tech. And this is it for this episode. And we'll be back with another one. So please stay tuned.